Hey everybody, Rix here. Are you having troubles, maybe troubles like this, where you're trying to do a large 8x10 transfer and you're ending up with these little white spots or missing areas and so forth? Would you rather have something like this? Well, stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to show you how I do this. Okay, let's have a little chat as far as doing these image transfers. If you do small transfers, it's easy and you can get 100% no defect type transfers all day long if you stick to doing the very small images. I don't seem to have anything around here. Well, here we go. Here's one on tile, for example. You can see that just came out perfect. And let's see this. Here's another one. That one came out perfect. These small transfers are really easy to do because you don't have a whole lot of surface area. Getting it sanded down, cleaned, whatever is easy. Applying the glue or the gel medium or whatever you're using that works. Making sure there are no missing spots, no dry spots. All these things is easy when you have such a small surface area to work with. However, I notice that most of the troubleshooting calls I get, when I say calls, really it's emails, from you is that you're trying to do something large. And I find that a lot of folks who are trying to do large images have never even done a small one. So they're not even used to how to do the process. And there is a little bit of a process. There's a learning curve. A little bit of experimentation on your part and so forth so that you can see, oh, this is how much glue I need. I've been doing too much or too little. I haven't been sanding. I've got defects in my surface and on and on and on. There are certain preps that you want to be able to do to make the surface ready to take a transfer. If the surface isn't ready, well, whatever defects you have there, you're going to have a defect in your transfer. So we're going to go through preparation to do one of these large ones because, well, that does happen, and it happens to me as well if I don't take extra prep to do the larger size. And so in that case, let's just get right into it, okay? Here we have, for example, a regular, simple, I guess it's about 8x10 balsa wood. And the way these things come, they look like they're smooth and they're clean and they're ready to go. No, they're not ready to go. You need to prep your surface. And when I mean prep is take some fine sandpaper. If it's not a really roughed up board, take some fine sandpaper, like a 300, 400, and just sand that board down as smooth as you can get it. Then make sure that with a dry microfiber cloth or something, get the dust and everything off. You don't want any dust left on the surface of that wood that you're going to be transferring on. And we're going to be talking about transferring on wood. Not in this video, we're going to be doing canvas or tile or glass or plastic or whatever. We're just going to do a flat piece of wood. A recent email I received, an individual was trying to do a large transfer, was going through a whole package of paper, was just plain having this kind of an issue and so forth. I try to offer some advice, troubleshooting advice, but it's very difficult without actually watching it on video. So if you see right here, I have this board and it's been sanded and it's been painted. I painted it white. Now the reason why I painted this is because the image itself, and here's another printed image that I did right here, and you can see it has white in it. Well, wherever there is white, you know your printer, most of our color laser printers don't have white toner. So nothing is actually printed where there's white. This is just the color of the paper itself showing through. And so what will happen, of course, is that when you transfer the image onto your surface, your wood surface, the color of whatever that surface is just going to show right through anywhere that you have this white. Also, if you paint your surface white, well, having a white background will make the blue look really blue and the orange look really orange and the yellows look really yellow. In other words, you get more saturated color because if you left it bare without a painted background, well, that unpainted background is going to blend with whatever your image is, and it's going to dull it out somewhat. So it's up to you what you want. If you want to see that wood grain sticking through, don't paint your surface. Me, I usually like to have a white background because it just makes those colors pop, right? Okay, now we're going to step through what I did to prep this image. You see this image, although I did print it using a laser printer, and right now I'm going to mention exactly what I used here because I still get people leaving comments under my video saying, hey, is that a special paper you were using? Or they'll say, where can I get this transfer paper? Or, you know, is that a transfer paper? Or just like, I'm like, well, you're watching a video about transfer paper and you're asking me, is that a transfer paper? Okay, so obviously it's my fault because I'm not being clear. So I'm going to be clear, okay? This is printer paper that has been specially coated, and it is offered at my website for now anyway, until we reach 100,000 subscribers on this channel. Then I'm just going to teach everyone how to make their own. So you don't have to get it through me. But for right now, you can only get it through my website. So it's called RixCanDoIt Quick Transfer Paper. And you can go into the description area of this video down below. It's usually where it's located, down below somewhere. And there's a link to the website, or it's just simply RixCanDoIt.com/quick transfer paper, one word. And they come in a package of 20. And you use a laser printer only. I want to stipulate that. Laser printer only. We're not going to talk about inkjet. We're talking laser printer. Doesn't matter if it's a black and white laser printer or a color laser printer. I have a color one because they're relatively inexpensive now to own a color laser printer. I never thought I'd see the day, but that day is now. You're going to take the quick transfer paper and you're going to print your image on it. However, in this particular application, I did something a little different. And that is, I took the quick transfer paper into my garage and I sprayed it really lightly from a distance. In other words, the can is held way out here and I let the mist just float down onto the paper until I felt like it was enough on there to protect it. And then I come a little closer and I gave it a nice thin layer of this clear coat, like Krylon clear coat. I let it dry. Then I went and stuck it in my printer, that's right, and I printed on top of the clear coat that I had sprayed on the paper. Then I took the image that has the laser printing and I went back into the garage and I did the spray again. So what do you have here? Here you have the paper. Then you have the clear coat that I sprayed on top of the paper. Then you have the image printed. Then you have the clear coat again. So the image is now sandwiched between a layer of clear coat on the top and a layer of clear coat on the bottom. Now I'm just going to use this Liquitex gel medium, and I do want to mention one of the subscribers had discovered that some gel mediums don't work, that it has poor gluing qualities. So the only gel mediums that I have personally used with success is this Liquitex and also the gel medium from Blick. So Blick gel medium. Those are the two that I'm familiar with. The one that he used, I don't have it, but what I'll do is I will put that image right there of that brand. Don't buy it because it doesn't work for this application. So taking a clean sponge brush here, I'm going to start applying gel medium liberally all over the image. Now you want to have full coverage, because anywhere that you're missing your glue or your gel, whatever the case, whatever it is you're using, you won't have it glued to your surface, and that means that you're not going to get a full 100% transfer. Remember, if it isn't glued down, it's not going to transfer. Now I'm going to now apply the gel medium to the painted surface, and then I'm going to take my finger and make sure that I have 100% coverage. You can see lines that I'm even creating with my finger. Be very cognizant of any missing spots. You don't want any missing spots. You want a nice thin layer. Don't go too crazy. Just put a nice thin layer everywhere. Don't ignore the edges, because they tend to, when your finger comes off the board, you can tend to take off some of your glue. But one of the biggest problems with doing images this big is that you have such a large margin for error. It's just, I don't know if that should be large margin or small margin. I don't know how to say that, but the point is that it's easy to miss spots because you have such a large area to work with. If you have troubles doing this with a large image, start small. Okay? Start small. Don't get too ambitious. Just start small and work your way up. Make them bigger and bigger and bigger until you're successfully doing all the different sizes. Now, I can lay this on top of this, or I can lay this on top of this. It's easier for me to lay this board on top of the image in order to center it. Okay? And you can see I have another image already on this board. And this one here, like that other one I showed, were many different ways that I was doing these applications in order to demonstrate the problem. This one here, you can see brush strokes. So let me just squeeze this on here real quick before I do too much talking about something else. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish prepping this, and then I'm gonna discuss this thing here. All right. Now, if you turn it over, okay, as you can see, you have some bubbling and wrinkling. That's where this brayer comes in. Start from the middle and just work your way from the center out. And you're going to get ooze out. That's to be expected. Try not to get it on your brush. All right. Usually I'll put a big old plastic thing on here, but because the paper is bigger than the board, I'm not getting ooze out past the paper, and there's nothing coming on here. But as you can see, you get this nice flat contact going here, and that's what you want. Make sure that you just go through from the center out and don't miss anything. like all the bubbles and wrinkles or anything else you might have. And you're just working it out. Work it out. Work it out. Just like that. Okay. Take your time, but don't take too much time, because it's going to start drying on you. But go through and make sure you're getting everything. You want 100% contact. Carefully look at your paper there. If you have to hold it up to the light, do that. Anything to make sure that you're not getting any bubbling, you're not getting any lifting off the board. You want this thing to have good contact to that surface. And another thing that I want to bring out is that, you know, to make these 8x10s, you know, it's like you have to like think, well, why do you want to do something like this? I mean, if you're just doing it to make an image, why not just print the image and frame the image? Why do you have to transfer it? Just, you know, print it and put a cardboard back behind it and put it in a frame, and there you go. But some want to do it on boxes, you know, like wooden boxes. Some want to do, you know, big, large craft type, like, you know, little furnitures or whatever they take to the craft stores and so forth. And those you definitely want to transfer your images to, because, you know, you want to put them in certain spots on it and so forth. So if you're just doing something you're going to frame or whatever, you know, I kind of wonder, well, like, why go through the trouble of transferring it? Just print it and put it behind glass and you're good to go. So, something to think about. Okay, so this has been drying overnight and gluing down to my craft paper. Well, kind of wondering if that, oh wow, this is unexpected. Look at that. And so, you know, you might think that your white paint is dry. It may feel dry to the touch, but it has a certain stickiness to it. So, you know, that's something to consider if you're going to transfer onto it, is if it's really ready to be transferred onto. Anyway, it's this side that we put the paper on. Let's go over this really quick. Now, here is my test panel that I did. And it's a white painted surface on a sanded balsa wood. And I used the Maker's Magic, which is this right here. Okay, we see that in there? That's good. Maker's Magic. We use the Liquitex gel medium. All right. In case you want to see the label. There you go. Matted gel. And I also used Mod Podge, which is this third one here. And you can see the Mod Podge had all the little bits. It wasn't, it didn't come out too well, but I could feel that it's very lumpy in those spots. So it could be the surface wasn't, when I spray painted, it wasn't really flat. So that's something to consider. And the gel medium was pretty good. Don't worry too much about stuff like this, because I just slopped it on. I wasn't like making sure that it was perfectly rectangular or whatever. But I thought of all of this, the Maker's Magic came out the best. Personally, that's that one right there. Looks real clean. And you can see doing small transfers is really easy. But we want to make a nice large transfer like this one here, and we want to avoid something that looks like that. So it all comes down to how we wow, it stuck to the top of my water cup. It was just like this and it's glued on. Anyway, I'll use the other brush. Oh, look, fell off. They're so cheap, I could just throw them away and go get another one. Okay, let's see how this works out. I am really anxious to see this. This is the one where I sprayed it with the matted finish. I sprayed it with that after I printed on the paper. I sprayed it from a distance to give it a nice little protection. And I used the Maker's Magic as the glue. So we're going to see if that combination is going to give us what we need. And make sure you just really get that water to soak in there, because if it doesn't, it won't release and you'll have paper left behind, which is what was that other one I showed you, which had some paper left behind. I don't want too much paper left behind. We want a good release. So we make sure we get good moisture in there. Okay, you can even rub it off if you want, like the other ways of doing image transfers. But the whole idea of using this paper is so that we don't have to. I'm going to just take off excess. It just cuts down on the amount of peeling you have to do. Now let's see what kind of results we can be looking at here. Is it in the camera? Yeah. Okay, well so far, okay, let me just zoom in here. All right, but so far take a look and notice that, okay, there's one little piece right there that came off on the paper, which means it was not glued down. Because if that little piece was glued down, I should not be able to pull that off. Okay, so that's a no-no right there. The rest of it looks pretty good so far. But I got a feeling if we already got one like that, we're going to get another. It's sticking here. Let me get some more moisture on there. There we go. Well, oh, the paper's sticking. Okay. Just get that on there. You know, it's okay to just provide some moisture as you go. If you end up finding that the paper's not peeling off. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Okay. Use that sponge there. Okay. Start look. Okay. Right there. We see some issues that I have. You can see that there's that's probably paper left behind, because when I wet it, you can see the picture underneath it. See? So we got some paper being separated. You know, paper's got fibers, and sometimes you're just pulling the fibers off and leaving some of the fibers behind, and that's where it gets that paper haze. And that's not what you want. Okay. But for the most part, it's looks like a pretty good transfer. Take up the excess moisture because it minimizes that separation of paper. So what I notice is as I take moisture up, I'm able to pull more paper off. See that? Look at that. Okay, I got a little bit of paper haze here, but you can see that was a 100% transfer except for that one little dot where's that little, well, there's a little dot right there. And where's the other one? Is there no? No, that was the only one. So if you can see that on the paper, you have this little piece right here, and that's what is missing right there, that little dot right there. So doing something this big, so it's really hard to get 100% transfer. Sometimes you're going to miss a little spot. It wasn't glued down in that little tiny place right there. And, you know, but it's not a big deal. Now I got some paper haze, which means that some of the paper fiber itself is left behind. And so what I'm going to do is take my wet rag here, and I'm going to see if I can just take some of that out and see what happens. Hopefully I'm not taking any image off. I did a little bit right there in the corner. So that one was ready to go, that it was not held down very well. But you can clean this up just like this, no big deal. All right. And then to finish this off, I will spray it with the crystal clear Krylon to finish it off. Make sure it's nice and dry first. And then that will just take care of any other little haze that might be left. But it's not a perfect, but it's very, very close. Let me go back out again. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to spray this really quick. You can see what happens right off the bat here. Better do this in a well-ventilated area, but I'm pretty crazy. But there you go. Could be better, but there you go. You have some small artifacts up here. You can see that. There's a few, but for the most part, that came out pretty good. Well, another beautiful day and another experiment. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change up the image. Now we were making these bird images here, like you see this one and this one here, so they're both pretty good. And there's one that didn't come out right, and so the whole idea of making this video is showing how we can make really good ones. And it's just a matter of preparation, how we end up, you know, preparing the actual wood itself or surface. In this case, it's going to be the balsa wood. I tested 3 different glues, as you've seen, and Mod Podge and Liquitex and that Maker's Magic stuff, which worked out really nice. And the other side, I just prepared it. It's got a white paint job. Now, it's not sticky at all because I allow this to dry for over 24 hours. And I believe this one was the rust paint. And it seems that the rust paint has less of a stickiness to it or dries faster than the 2X paint that I was using. Anyway, maybe I'll pop that in the video there. We can look at the 2 different paints, but find one that dries fast and it's, you know, it's like, you know, furniture or whatever, melamine, you know. So at this time, I'm getting bored of those birds, so I figured what we're going to do is we're going to do this little kitty cat here. I thought that looked pretty interesting. But this new experiment is I sprayed the paper first, before printing, I sprayed it with that Kmart lacquer, and I coated it, you know, I didn't put it on wet. Remember how I mist it from a distance until it gets the initial layer on there, and then I can get closer and give it a complete covering. I let that dry, and I let it dry overnight. As a matter of fact, I wasn't going to do anything late last night. And then today, I stuck it in my laser printer, and I printed right on top of that lacquer image, or that lacquer coating, not image, but I printed the image on that coating. And then afterwards, I took this back in the garage, and I gave it a coat of the Kmart lacquer on top. So you can see it has that nice little shine to it. But what we have here is we have the paper, we have the Kmart layer that I sprayed, then you have the image printed on top of that, and then on top of that is the lacquer. So what happens is the image now should be protected on both sides from, hopefully from water. And that's the whole idea, because we're going to wet the back of this, and I want to make sure that we absolutely don't affect this image if we have to do extra rubbing or whatever the case may be, because we're doing such a large size. It seems like we have to take these extra measures, right? But let's see what kind of results we get this time. Now, what I found with the crystal clear, by the way, is that when I sprayed it with the crystal clear, while it's a good protection, the Liquitex gel medium, if you were to put it on there and you were, let's just say, take your finger and you just kind of moving around with it, it's like it eats up that clear coat. It just ate it up, and then all of a sudden I was destroying the image underneath. And I was trying to figure out, why was it that some of the transfers where I had used that clear coat and I used the gel medium, why was I seeing white paint, which was obviously coming from the board? Why was the white paint now showing through the image? And it turns out is because the Liquitex was eating through the clear coat, and then you were able to push the image color off. And that was happening when you took the brayer and you're doing this, and next thing you know, you're pushing the colors away. You're just pushing them out, like smearing them or whatever. So we kind of discovering this as we go with different experimentations. So now we got Kmart. We're going to see how resilient the Kmart is. And I'm not going to use the Liquitex. I'm going to go ahead and use this Maker's Magic because it worked pretty good before. Why don't we use it again? Let's get this Maker's Magic stuff applied. Looks like I won't have to buy more of this stuff. I'm almost out of it with all these experiments. Okay, but let's give this board a nice coating of the Maker's Magic. Now the big problem is it's hard to see that if I'm missing any spots, so I'm going to have to lift this up pretty soon and in a minute here and angle it to the light. I don't really want to touch it with my fingers. I mean, I should, but you know, feeling a little squeamish today. I don't know. So looking at it in the light and making sure that it is glimmering everywhere. Okay, I think it's okay. Also, being on the white paint, just got to make sure it doesn't separate in some places, you know, where it doesn't want to hang in there. And I got brush lines, yep, so I may not be able to get away from using my finger. I didn't want to use my finger, but I do want this to come off good. But yeah, it looks like good covering. I'm not going to use my finger. I'm just going to chance it. So let's just put this down here like so and align it. like so. We don't want it to move around once we get it on there, remember? So there we go. We got it seated. Gently press, but don't let it slide out away from you because it's slippery stuff. Give it a good press everywhere. Okay, and then I'm going to slide it and turn it. Okay. Yeah, we should have kept that. Should keep that underneath there just in case I only get it on my craft paper thing. So we got that on there. Let's take our brayer now and just patiently, carefully from the center, just make sure you have good contact all around. No bubbling. Okay, no wrinkles, no bubbling out. Now I've done a ton of these experiments so far and I don't get wrinkling, so somebody was telling me they were getting wrinkling and I'm like, well, I really don't know what you're doing. But see, the only thing is that if you have a surface that isn't prepared to take take a glued image or anything, glued paper, then it's probably going to just bubble up on you. I don't know. You're probably using horrible gel medium and horrible glue. If you're going to do image transfers, try to keep your image transfers smaller and, make several of them and then put it together like a collage type of thing or whatever to make up your bigger image instead of having to do big 8x10 portraits. I don't see the point in transferring a whole size image like this. Why not just make a printout and then just put glass on top of it and frame it? I had a little bit, see, you have a little bit of issue I had right there. This is still kind of sticky. So this was with the spray can glue, the adhesive 77 from 3M. I don't recommend it. And then this one, I can't remember what glue I used here, but I can see by brush strokes here and here and here. So you can see that I get some of the same problems you'll get if I don't make sure that I've got full coverage, or if I wipe off some of the glue with my brush or whatever the case may be. The bigger the image, the higher probability that you're going to end up with various little artifacts like this. That's just the nature of doing transfers. So don't expect perfection. Okay, so this has been drying for a few hours and now we're going to go ahead and release this here. I'll get some water and just apply it across the back as usual. We want it to soak in really well. That's key. We need to get it to absorb so that it will release the image. Now I could see a little problem already right here. I got some bubbling and as soon as I press it, it kind of oozed. So I may not have contact there, we'll see. I certainly hope that's just the paper releasing and not a problem with the glue itself. So let's see what we can do with this. Okay, that's, give it a little wiggle on the end there. There we go. Okay. We got a little bit where I didn't glue it down there. You can see it's coming off with the paper. That's because it wasn't glued down there. Otherwise, there's no way the paper could pull it off. It would be stuck to this table. Oh, that's, I can feel it. Okay. Hope that's the only problem. Little speck right there. Overall, I call that a success. Absolutely. All right, so we examine the paper itself. Take a look. There's a little area right there I did not properly glue down, and it's still sticky, so that didn't dry. And then I got that little tiny speck. But overall, I would say, other than my lack of meticulous spreading of the glue, this is a fantastic way to do this. And that is to use, you can use this Maker's Magic, and you can use the Kmart lacquer, and that worked out really, really nice. Let me just give you guys all a close up there. Take a look at that. I have some cleanup to do on the edges here. You know, you just get rid of the stuff on the edge. Also, you want to make sure that you have like 100% thoroughly dry and good contact, but look at that. That was pretty good. I just missed a couple of spots. I missed this spot right up here and that little spot down at the bottom right there. Okay, and so those are the spots where, and I can feel it's sticky, which means that the glue was not completely dry in those two areas. It must have been really thick or something. I can't say. All I know is, if it's not glued, and it shouldn't be sticky like this. It should be completely dry and glued and the image pressed on. There's no way that it can be pulled off, and yet I just peeled it right off because it's just sticky. So the rest of it's not sticky because it's all dry. Well, look at that. Look at that. That's pretty cool, huh? So anyway, I hope that helps everybody. As far as, you know, there are different methods, different ways that we can approach doing a transfer. There's different glues, you know, whatever you want to use, it's up to you, you know. But that was easy to do, and using that Lamar lacquer is definitely a go. Okay, the crystal clear is good for, like, right now that this is finished. I can come in here now and spray it with crystal clear, give it a nice glossy finish and protect the image, and it's done with. But as far as spraying it on the paper itself and then gluing it, I find that it seems to react with the liquid text, and not in a good way. All right, well, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm, get more eyes on my videos, get us closer to 100,000 subscribers, so that we will be releasing the secrets that I use in creating this quick transfer paper. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell so you'll be informed of my upcoming videos, and I will see all of you in the next video. Thank you so much for dropping in and watching. Bye.